You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Good morning and welcome to Old Town Cleveland here on WOOP FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.woopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553. Debbie Moore, tell me what's going on today.
Well, the only thing that is not on this morning, Ron, is the air conditioning. This is typical Whoop style. We've got one thing in the studio that's not working this morning, but we'll be just fine because it's a beautiful morning outside. We got the doors open. We're going to have a great show today. We have Jonathan Flug and Greg Serum. Greg's not really sure why he's here. He told me he's here to play the harmonica, so we'll see what happens with him. I told him that he could tell any story that he knew on Jonathan, and that would be just fine.
There goes 2 hours.
There goes 2 hours. We're going to be talking about Bachman Home, not necessarily the building, but the people who occupied that building and changed the lives of many children that came through there. And we understand that it's been under a little bit different kind of control here in the recent years, but they're finally closing down, and we'll be talking about that too. But It is June the 10th. I forgot to say that, 2017. We missed you guys last week. We've been on vacation. I feel like I need a 2-week vacation to recover from that 1-week vacation.
Especially with the grandkids. And the car.
Yeah. It was a whole different energy level, let me tell you.
And the car show?
Oh, there's a car show going on in Cleveland today that I believe Fro Daddy is being their MC this morning. And it's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're going to have a concession stand with barbecue and door prizes, giveaways. They have a whole selection of cool cars and trucks and bikes to look at. And it's at Cleveland Fastener and Supply. This is their first one.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Go see them.
Good morning.
How you doing today?
It's hot in here.
It is. Welcome. This is a warm welcome just for you, Jonathan.
You can't shake your head.
Thank you, Lady Morrow.
We all know that boy. Old Jay Basil.
Boy, that's
appreciate you having me come. It's
sponsored by Caswell.
Kaz Walker.
Kaz Walker. That's Kaz Walker. Yes.
I went up to Dollywood a few months ago, and we took a picture of the Kaz Walker store.
Yeah.
A fake storefront that's there. And on Facebook, people are going, is he still in business? And I'm thinking, no. He's not.
Thank you for playing.
Thank you for playing.
Yeah, well, I think Kaz Walker is best known for being on the Knoxville City Council.
Yeah.
And I got a great picture of him punching one of the other city councilmen.
Well, I'm sure that's what the council
really worked.
Yeah, that's what government works.
Maybe we need some of that Bradley. Well, we're about to have that at Bradley County.
Yeah. And
there's some of that going on now.
Jonathan, your dad was Art Flug.
Yep, Reverend Art Flug.
Where was he born?
He was born in Zillionople, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
It's northwest of Pittsburgh. Rural area, lived on a pretty big farm, and didn't see paved roads or electricity till he was 18.
And how in the world did he end up in Bradley County, Tennessee?
Well, my grandfather was a Methodist, and Dad went to church there and felt a call to ministry, and was a welder, actually, when he was still a teenager, at a plant up there in Zillionople. And he made a profession of faith at a church at 18, and Mom stood up with him. And
there you go.
He went to school and wound up at Bryan College in Dayton.
There you go.
He helped do the welding for the most of the buildings. He lived, before they had housing for the students, he lived in trailers. He had Trailerville, he called it. Mm-hmm. And he had pictures and things, and we still have those in the trunk. And I think he got had certificate for most biblical based, and then he went to Columbia Seminary and Theological Seminary in Atlanta, Georgia, or technically Decatur, and was pastoring 2 churches on Lookout Mountain during Prohibition and commuting to Atlanta before interstates.
Wow. Now, what kind of car would he be traveling? You're on the bus? Or?
He had some big old Oldsmobile with a spider gear in it. And
looked like a yacht.
Yeah. But he had to get special permission to do that. But he took Hebrew and Greek at the same time, pastored 2 churches, and just remembered everything he read.
Raised a family. And,
yeah.
Now, are you the oldest child?
I am not.
Okay.
Becky Merriman, who used to work for
Richard Banks.
Thank you, Richard Banks.
That's why Greg's here.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
To fill in the missing words.
That's right. And so, so anyway, she met her husband at Bachman. Richard Merriman was a boy at Bachman, and they got married, and he both retired. He worked at Bowater, but Becky was the oldest. Danny Flug's next. He worked for T.U. Parks for years, and he's retired in Chattanooga. And then me.
Who did he work for?
T.U. Parks Construction.
Oh, okay.
And then me, and then my sister Martha, who lives in Alabama right now.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So you came here at 10 months old.
Yes, Dad took me home at directorship at 10 months. They came to him when he was at Lookout Mountain. Said, "Hey,
and did your mom say, what in the world are you doing, or let's pack up and go?"
Mom was that person that whatever was going, we went with, and so she played piano for the chapel service there. She played on the mountain. She did. She wrote the Highlights, which was a little magazine that Bachman put out, or bulletin, whatever you want to call it, and that was our life. And so we lived on campus, and there was a guy was playing guitar, one of the boys, and he wound up on the Mole Convention playing.
Wow. And who was that?
His name was...
Help him, Greg.
I don't know that one.
I think that was Gary Moore. He wasn't related. And so he played, and it enthralled me as like a 9-10-year-old. And we had 2 guitars donated, and Dad gave me one of them. And so I started teaching myself to play.
And Greg, you're from here, aren't you?
No.
Where are you from? Well, I always thought you'd been from here.
No, most of my life.
Yes.
Most of my life. Yeah, born in Kansas City, Missouri. At the tender age of 6 months, moved.
You were born at 6 months?
Born at 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom was surprised.
Okay.
I can say that now.
Yeah.
But moved to Polk County and was raised down there in Old Fort. And then,
That's a big change from Kansas City to Missouri. I mean, to Polk County.
Well, I didn't realize it.
Yeah, but that's still, even at 6 months, it would be.
So what brought your parents here?
Well, actually, Dad got out of the Army Air Corps, and he was in Kansas City working, and Mom had worked at Oak Ridge during the war, and she had moved up there, and that's where they met. And then Mom really wanted to come back to Tennessee, and she was from Conasauga.
Oh,
Conasauga.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I know where
We
that
know
is very well.
Conasauga.
And so ran with all the Dooleys and then everybody down there. So
Yes.
she wanted to come back, and so we moved back to Old Fort, built a house, and lived down there, and then moved here in '69.
Well, I have a lot of relatives that lived in Conasauga and a lot in Tinga.
Oh, yeah.
Tinga is where all the Effersons are from, and Dunns and all that. And so, my grandfather used to go up to Conasauga or Conasauga, as we say it.
Yep.
And, I know Conasauga real well.
Yep. My papa worked at the lumber mill.
A lot of people work there at the lumber
Yep.
mill, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was a big operation.
Yes, it was.
They had a narrow gauge railroad that went all the way to the top of the mountain that brought the logs in. It was unbelievable big. He had an uncle that couldn't read and write, but they'd load that big truck up with wood, and he'd get where he was going and get home. And people in the family would say, "You know, he can't read and write," but it doesn't matter. He gets there and back. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that was when driving was a little bit more simple, but I was always admired him for doing that.
well, the Bachman home, was it always called Bachman from the very beginning, or do you remember?
Well, this is what I remember from reading the history and things. It actually connected with 2 families, the Kimsey families, and if you know up there near Reliance, there's the Kimsey Mountain and the Kimsey Highway.
Yes.
Well, there was a Dr. Kimsey that owned that, and there were some orphans. And so he started an orphanage up there near Farner.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonathan Bachman was another settler here, and he had 6 sons and 4 daughters. All 6 were doctors, and 4 of them became Presbyterian ministers in Knoxville, or in the Knoxville Presbytery starting out. Well, 2 of them were there. One of them was in Sweetwater, and one in Knoxville heard about the orphanage, went up there and built a school. Real rural area. It was hard to get things there, somewhere at the turn of the century. And so he started the school, Bachman Memorial School, there next to the orphanage. So about 1916, they moved the school and the orphanage down to Sweetwater because the other brother had some property or something. They had built the manse or whatever, and were starting to build. It was ran there for like 48 years, or 35 years. 1948, before they got finished building, the Church of God Children's Home came up for sale, and they bought it.
Now, the Church of God what?
It was a Church of God Children's Home. I don't
Children's
remember what
Home
it's called.
here.
Yes.
Okay.
The current property.
In the current. Okay, that's the story that I was trying
that
to.
was what, Benny Triplett, coming down our show was
That's when he was
pastor
there.
church guy. He was there, and I think he was out at where Kim Lackey's parents. Oh, I think
there's
that's
some
joined together.
connection there.
Yes.
That when there was an orphanage over on Orphanage Ridge. Help me with the name of the road, Ron. Name of the Bancroft Road.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still, when you look on modern day maps, it calls it Orphan Ridge. And Mr. Lackey has saved some of the buildings from there. There was a well house that are the little rocks that the boys learned how to do in CCC, And some of the guys, they have an annual reunion, and the people come back to the farm. And now they're all getting quite aged.
Yeah,
And
I think went
they
from there.
they built that, and they came back and I think maybe assisted a little bit in the constructing it back. They still have the old potato house there too.
Isn't that neat?
That's neat. But
Yeah.
I think when it closed, some of the kids went to Sevierville, but there's some connection too with the building that was over on the
So
highway.
now-
The
so
building
Bachman-
over on the highway, I believe, was built in 1830s, 1930s when the highway came
Yeah.
through.
Was it called Bachman before when the Church of God had it, or
Just Church
No,
of God
I
Children's
understand. I
Home.
think it was just Church of God Children's Home.
okay?
And so when Dr. Bachman came down and purchased the property, they turned it to the Bachman Memorial Home, carried the name from when it was in Farner.
So 1948, did you
48.
say? Okay. So that building's been there longer than that.
Yes.
A little bit longer.
Yes. And then while Dad was there, there's some great stories about it as far as support, but they definitely built the gym and the swimming pool and the tennis courts. And there's a story, and I'm a little fuzzy on it, but basically they had to put a sprinkler system in it. So Dad and Mom were traveling, trying to figure out where they're going to just traveling somewhere, and we're talking about where we're going to get a water tower, because there's 2 wells out there, 100-foot well, 300-foot well, and where we're going to get a water tower. And the guy in the next booth, whether it was my dad or the current director or the previous director, was like, hey, I've got a tower I can give you from this railroad company. And I don't remember the railroad company, that story.
Wow.
But that's how they
How
got the water
far
tower.
do you think it came? I mean, you're
Well, I'd say
talking.
it probably stayed in Tennessee. So it might have been Southeastern Railroad or something like that.
Well, the good news of all of this, I think, has been that our good friend up at the Cleveland Public Library, the history branch, Margot Steele,
Yes.
tells us that the Bachman archives came up there.
Yes, the Matt Bentley and some of the folks connected with Ben About that's purchased the property is
Oh, have they purchased it?
picked up all the. There was a room full of pictures and memorabilia and stuff, and is giving that to. Yeah.
What a smart move,
Yeah.
because a lot of times it gets packed up and nobody knows where it's at until it's deteriorated. And Margot was telling me the other day, and matter of fact, if somebody out there wants to donate to the cause, I'm sure she would love to have some money to work with to save that stuff. But she was thinking that they can get those little newsletters bound.
Yes, Ricky Birchfield's got several of them that weren't in that. We've got from Dad's collection, and I've got a few at the house I got to get to Ricky. Because the Bachman alumni, and that's the interesting thing. We talk about the buildings, we talk about dates, but it's about the people that not only worked at Bachman, were part of that ministry, but the ones that went through there.
What was the largest amount of children that you think that they had at any given time?
100. we had several buildings, of course, but some of them at that point were living in the house with us.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't think nothing about it. You know,
No,
it was just
you didn't.
part of, other brothers and sisters, and they do. They still called them mom and dad up to their death. Dad would talk about, somebody would call him about once or twice a month and say, hey, Mr. Flug, here's what I'm doing. I've got my life together. These are my kids. And, just continue. And the Bachman alumni have a, excuse me, a Facebook page.
Oh,
and
I didn't know that.
And they have a reunion every year. And there's some video on YouTube of them honoring Dad because they always brought him in. And they would, they still get together and talk and pray for each other on Facebook. And I think it's a closed Facebook now, but they were all excited about this radio time, and so they're looking forward to calling
well,
in.
we were tickled to death because, and I tell you what caught my attention. I read it in the newspaper and thought, well, I really hate that resource is leaving this community.
Yes.
And then on Facebook you said, but it's about the people, and I thought, oh, I got to get him on the show, and you so graciously accepted and drug Greg along with you.
Greg, want to sing? Sure.
Do you want to do a song right now?
Oh, sure. We can
Sure,
do it.
just
We can.
you
Yeah,
guys.
sure.
Set it up for us.
All right.
Well,
this-
get your instruments first.
Okay.
Let's let them. Ron and I had an interesting week this week. We went with our daughter and her family up to Pigeon Forge, and we drove to the end of the earth and back to see elk. And did we see any, Ron?
Not at Cataloochee.
Yeah.
And to
You go
get-
in
and to
on
get there,
one
it's
plain road.
no good way to get there. But to tell you the truth, we didn't see a thing there except a turkey.
It was really pretty
And
land.
we came back through Cherokee, North Carolina, and coming down to the
Oak of
the farm, the little
farm. Yeah.
There's 4
Whatever it
elk
is.
standing at the back of it.
Yeah.
So we could just go
We could-
over the mountain.
We
and
could have
didn't have
stayed
it.
on paved roads.
But,
I did that to kind of buy them a little bit of time. But
Yeah.
set us up here, Jonathan.
Okay, well, I talked about Dad pastoring on Lookout Mountain, those 2 churches. And this man lived his faith, walked the talk. And you can test him, knew him. And so I was just inspired by that. And Greg and I were in a band together for a while. And so I wrote this song about my dad's time on the mountain. And we'd go back and visit one of the little churches. And it was called the Little Brown Church. And so that's the name of the song. It's about that time. So it goes like this. On the side of a mountain sits a little brown church. That's where my daddy used to preach, and that's where I first heard the word. How he loved those mountain people, and he told them one to one how much God loved them and the saving grace of God's Son. On the side of a mountain sits a little brown church, light coming through the windows, music is heard. A few years have passed since we moved away. I wondered about the church, and I went by the other day. All the doors were bolted, and no light came through the windows. I thought about those mountain people, where did they go? On the side of the mountain sits an empty church. I prayed for a breath of life, let my prayers be heard. Well, I went by the church, and the church, it was alive. All the doors were open, and the people all had smiles. sits a little brown church, like coming through the windows, singing is heard on the side of a mountain, on the side of a mountain, on the side of a mountain sits a little brown church, sits a little brown church, sits a little brown church.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, Ron, that sounded really good out in the. I went running out into the mall to see how we sounded out there. Sounded really good.
Well, thank you.
Good job, guys.
Good job. Good song.
So, Greg, where'd you learn to play? Just
Played
played.
harmonica
Yeah,
or guitar?
yeah, yes.
This is the only song I've ever played harmonica on.
He doing real good.
I played the steel guitar on a recording one time
There
in
you
the
go.
studio. This guy had wrote a song and come in, and I bought a little cheap steel guitar just going to try to learn. And
He thought it was
John Cook said, Ron, go out there and put steel on this song. I went, okay. So that's the only time that I've ever done that. So, all right.
I'm not seeing a red light on that little recorder, Ron.
It's probably because it's off.
Okay.
All right.
You see what a
We've got
technician
the
he
ma-
is.
I got
We
the
got the
motion.
big one on,
Yeah.
though.
We-
We always use this one for a backup.
You're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. We've opened up the phones now. You can
We
call
got
us here at 614-5553. If you're from out of the area, call 423-614-5553. We'll tell you the numbers several times as we go on during the day, so give us a call.
I don't want to divert this attention away, but I'm curious about something. Tell me about the mountain mission that you worked at.
Oh, okay. Sunset Gap Community Center. Well, much like many schools and colleges, the turn of the century had a lot of churches starting those colleges and schools. It was actually, part of the Reformation. Teach them the reading, give them a Bible.
Yes.
And so, you remember the series, The Christie Mission? They were books,
Yes.
became a TV series. Well, in Cobb County, I know they celebrated in Townsend, but Cobb County is actually physically where the Christie Mission was located. It was on the other opposite end of the county from where this school started. It started out as a school, and it's a 90 by 60 story and a half building, and it
Is the
actually
building still there?
still there. It was built on the county line of Cobb and Sevier, so it could help both counties.
Oh, there you go.
They would come up the steps, and once they got in the building, it didn't matter. But in the 60s, when the schools and the mountain schools started being consolidated into the county schools and city schools, it stayed open as a mission and named Sunset Gap Community Center. And there was a house there. It was built in 28. The main building was built in 24. There was a 2-story dormitory that was built in 28 as a hospital and housed TB patients. So that was converted to a dormitory. And they had college students and high school students from all over the country come there and go in the mountains, help the mountain folks, build homes, build
How old
nurseries.
were you when you were there?
That was I was there from 1998 to 2006.
Okay.
So, yeah. And it was, we went and did the interview. And I've learned to listen to the counsel of my wife. It takes a long time for some people, but
Yeah.
she looked at this. She says, this matches all your geeky skills. And so I took it because I'd done youth ministry here in town at First Pres with Greg, actually, for about 13 years, and then went to seminary. And they discontinued youth ministry where I was at. But that's another story. Anyways, so we went up there, and I'll never forget, we interviewed with the office assistant, Judy. And they'd interviewed with other people that were from the north even. And so she turned to the president and said, I can work with him. He talks like us.
Yeah, there you go.
So
He speaks my language.
I was accepted as a local because I've discovered the mountain folks are very concrete in their thinking. You're either their neighbor or a Yankee.
You're right.
There's
Right.
no in between.
There's no in between.
Sometimes it takes a long time to get their trust, and if you make them mad, oh Lord have mercy.
It takes
Few
a long
years,
time.
Few
It takes
years.
a-
Yeah.
Well,
I've got a
that's
lot of
very
family there in Townsend, so
Okay,
I'm very
yeah.
familiar.
Yeah.
Dunn
His
Holler back
family
there.
is from where they filmed the TV series.
Yes.
They took a lot of
That's
the original.
Dunn Holler.
So that's how they got the connection with Townsend.
Okay.
Because where the foundation left from the Christie Mission up in Cobb County is real, hard to get to.
Well, it's not an easy matter to maneuver around Dunholler, but they took some of the old buildings and I think they moved a cabin and spruced it up a little bit.
Gotcha.
And a lot of the fields and things were the locals have taken me around and said, okay, this is where they shot, and I'm thinking, I don't remember that scene, but that's okay.
Let me ask you about the children who came to the, first it was a true orphanage. With the Church of God, it was an orphanage, and then it was there. So where did those children come from? Just anywhere, or were they a certain faith, or what brought them to first the Church of God and then to Bachman?
Well, I'm speaking from not working in the office any with that part of the process, but I know from the years is that some of it was just personal referral. They came up, family members, and said, look, we don't have the resources to take care of this child. Their parents are in jail, alcoholics, or dead if it was an orphanage. And they actually took whole families and at that time. And so, you had the dormitories were broke up to boys and girls, and some of them were come from the state and from all over the country. I'll never forget. Should I tell the Junebug story?
Sure.
Okay. There was a guy by the name of, his real name was Johnny Woods. His nickname was Junebug. And he came from Chicago. Chicago. We had several from Chicago. And how that happened was we didn't have a lot of African Americans. And so we'll say there was a board member that was on the board that was very influential. And his wife worked with Head Start in Chattanooga and hated it because he was a little bit of a racist.
Oh.
And so he, they started sending the letters, you need to desegregate. And so, there'd be no in my home.
I know.
And they'd vote it down. Well, finally, Dad would talk to the board members and understood this was something else we need to do. And finally get the letter, you do it or we shut you down. So then it's not a board decision, it's a state mandate. So we get these 5 African Americans and a couple of them from Chicago, and I'll never forget Junebug. Pick him up. I went to the airport. They had picked him up, and we go down the road, and Junebug goes, "What's that?" And I said, "That's a cow, Junebug." He said, "What's a cow? What's it do?"
Why's it there? Yeah.
So they're having a board meeting when Junebug and the other guys are getting off the bus, and Dad hasn't told the board we'd desegregate him.
Yeah.
And so he's in the chapel.
The board member said, "What's that?"
So they get off. They get off. They have the board meeting in the chapel, and they walk up by the chapel and go to the dining room, that big building. And Dad hears the bus and thinks, "Okay, I don't have to deal with it today." They'll walk by and they'll never see it. And sure enough, this board member gets up. "Boys, I got to leave you with it." So Dad says, "I'll walk you out."
Here, let me escort you.
They walk to the door and open the door. Who's standing there? Junebug. And Dad said, literally, the guy took a step back, and Junebug threw his hand out and said, "Hi, I'm Junebug. Who are you?" Dad's like, "Oh." And the guy shook his hand, and Junebug walked into his car and then went up to the building. The guy never came back, never said anything. So Dad's like, "Oh, I'll hear it tomorrow." So the next day, he gets a call from the guy's wife. Said, "What'd you do to my husband?" He said, "What do you mean?" He says, "He came and said we're sponsoring a black boy at Bachman." So there was Junebug from Chicago, and he changed that man's heart.
Right there.
Without, we didn't talk affirmative action or any of that stuff. And that was God working. And so, but I'm sorry to get into that story, but they came from all over the country.
That's kind of story. Yeah. Well, now the thing of it is, too, is that I kind of think people knew this was an orphanage kind of town because we had more than one orphanage.
Yes.
Because there's a story from the time that, and I know somebody from this family is listening right now, from the police chief Trotter's family, that says in the middle of the night, the chief called his wife and said, "A baby's been left at the depot."
Wow.
And they took that baby into their home for a few days, as you would.
Yeah.
Hey, chief of police, okay, sure, you take in the orphan, And it's just somebody so desperate that they just had to leave the child at the depot. So it's such a sad story. But I'm wondering if people didn't know that this might be an orphanage town. I really don't know what happened to that young woman.
If you think about it, Dad said this one time, and it really stuck with me. He said, we get our identity from our last name. Tells us where we came, tells us where we came from, helps to find who we are, sometimes explains why we behave the way we do. You act like your mama, you act like your daddy. Well, when you don't have that, what does that do to you? And you're put in an orphanage. And so that's where you deal with folks. And we get church members that say, well, when are you going to lead them? How long does it take for them to know Christ? Dad say 10 years. They're like, what? He says, you can't talk about their spiritual situation until they're well, they're safe, and they're fed, and they know, kind of that there's somebody. Yeah.
I was really moved by the comments that folks had made on the Facebook page last night that was conversing with you, where they say, I still call that my home.
Yes.
And so I guess when you don't have a home, you're looking for people to love you, and that's really moving. And we used to have the children from the orphanage, from Bachman Home they were in all of our schools.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of us know. I didn't realize at the time that they lived at Bachman, maybe. And then later on found out and thought, okay, well, that's cool.
Well, I tell you, you didn't work there either unless it was a call to deal with people, because being troubled youth, broken homes, whatever, they had behaviors.
Sure.
And, you, as Dad did one time, and I'm sorry, I keep going back to my dad.
Your dad
house parents did the same thing. Well, it's kind of interesting. My dad retired at 89, and here we are talking about Bachman. I haven't been associated with him for many years. But anyways, he would say, that I remember seeing him with a kid and going off and cussing and whatever. And Dad says, okay, you done? Can I help you?
Can I help you? What can I do for you today?
No.
Well, it's kind of like a teapot. Kids sometimes have to let off the steam. And having worked in the school system for so long, that we often have to remember that when the kids down here making all this, it's like a mobile.
Yeah.
When the kids down here making all this racket and stuff, there's stuff that needs to be fixed above that.
Yeah. We understand that steam lit and off. We've been married.
Tell him how long you've been married, Ron.
I have been happily married for 29 years. Been married for 38, but I've been happily married for 29.
That's what I say about my wife. I've been married 35 years. My high school sweetheart, and most of them good.
And I spoke one night and used that joke against him. He said, you can't use a man's joke against him.
The law. It may be a rule, but
you should have seen his face. He thought, she used my joke against me.
These kids that come in, some of them were from broken homes.
Yes.
Some of them parents went to prison.
Yes.
And things. Now, when they got out, could they go back to live with their parents? Were they there temporarily, or when they came there, were they now they're going to live at Bachman Home until they're old enough to go on, or what was this? Or what, could they be adopted, or what was it? How did people leave there? Just
like any individual, our life journeys are different, and so theirs was the same way. If their parents could get themselves together and they would come back and get them, they'd have to go through some, checks, but they would. Some were adopted, even as late as 17. They might be adopted. I got a good friend that lives here in town, and Joe Walker, that was adopted, and then you had some if they went to graduation. We had a building that was called Independent Living. And then they moved into that facility, and they taught them how to do a checkbook and helped them get a job and talk about finances, and just if they, try to get them to where they can be independent. So that, there was all that you talked about could happen. They could stay there till they were 24. Was the rule.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I know that when Mr. Triplett, or Reverend Triplett, was on the show and talking about his dad brought him to Bachman and left him.
Okay.
It was Bachman, wasn't it, Ron? It must have been in the room.
It was the one out on Lackey's at that time, which I think was Church of God. Eventually came the Church of God over to where this, and then become Bachman.
Or some of the kids stayed here. So anyway, he ended up staying here for a long time. But, his mom had died. His dad had died. His mom got sick and died. And Grandpa just didn't know what to do with this little child. And so he came to the orphanage, and he said it was a very good thing for him.
Well, good.
Very, very good thing for him.
He got a little guitar someone gave him, and
well, he saw it in the store of the pawn shop, and his grandpa bought it for him, and he couldn't figure out why everybody was sitting in church.
Had a hula girl in it. He went to church and would play it and sing. So I always thought that was a good story.
He has the cutest little book, and I don't remember the name of it, but we were here talking about his book, and
of course Benny went on to sing wrote many songs in the Red Book hymnal, and sang with Church of God quartets. Can't think of all the guys' name. I can see all their faces now. Roosevelt Miller.
He had really great stories, and we haven't seen him in a while.
So, a great success story there. And, so over the years, how many people were at Bachman Home at Methodist? Were they?
Well, just in my dad's 27 years, there were 2,000 kids.
How many?
2,000.
2,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And I misspoke to the gentleman that's got all the highlights is Ricky Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, and Dad kept up with a lot of them, or they kept up with him. It's kind of a two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Well, there's that one person that always gave you hope, and that was probably your dad.
Well, that was the thing Dad instilled into the people that worked there too, is about the people. And so he was on the forefront. And when we moved him, when he retired, there was boxes of plaques he never put up from Children's Services and the state. He was on I think it was called the Council of Children's Services, and helped write the accreditation that the schools and children's home have to match. And we never do it. He just did it.
He just did it. Yeah.
But and so they knew he was there. And a lot of times those kids would test you. They're going to see if you're for real. Push your buttons, and if you stuck around or didn't overreact, then they knew that you were for real. And that made the difference in both their lives now.
Your dad and mom, great people.
Thank you.
Hey, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Old Town Cleveland, Whoop Radio, Bobby Orr.
Hey, Bobby
Hey,
Orr.
Bobby Orr. What's going on, big guy?
I'm up here at Tractor Supply making homemade ice cream with a hit and miss motor.
Well, you making some strawberry, I hope.
I had a truck like that.
I got strawberry, grape, chocolate, peach, and vanilla, all flavors.
Wow. So he makes good ice cream, I have to admit. Very good.
Okay.
Come on up.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, I love that hit and miss engine.
Oh, one lung. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. I had cars run like that. They didn't supposed to. They didn't supposed to, right. Greg, do you remember when we used to have an orphanage over on Wildwood, over there, right near where, just before you get to
Right across from
Buckner's funeral home now. They was right there on that hill. There was a
the
funeral,
building's still there.
the orphanage there. And do you remember what that was? There's a church there, right on the corner.
Somebody call and tell
Allen
us.
School's across the street.
Right.
But then it became a retirement home for Heavenly Hill at one time.
Right. I
But
remember that. I
well,
don't
That's
remember
what
the
I
orphanage.
remember.
Yeah.
I remember the
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys are kids,
That's right.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Yeah, your kids compared to me,
Matter of fact, my inner child runs free, as anybody can attest.
Amen.
I think my adult's acting pretty good today.
Oh, yeah.
Let me-
You behaved so far.
So
I was
far, we
worried.
had
And I've got
Turn the
pants on. My wife made me wear pants, but I got to pick the shirt. That was
Yeah.
a compromise.
Jonathan, you work at the Orange Grove now.
Yes, as assistant
How's-
maintenance coordinator.
Everything good down there?
Yeah, it's whenever.
I know they kind of came in and said the clients need to be desegregated.
Well, let me clarify some of that,
Okay.
because it really is
Please
a lot of
do.
things flying, and it's interesting. Now, that's an interesting history. We get off on that too, but basically, it's like even in education, you get this. You get people at the state level making decisions and no idea about what
Absolutely.
really is going on. So Orange Grove has over 900 employees. Has over 760 individuals it serves that are special needs, anywhere from ambulatory to higher functioning. And so they've always taken the higher functioning ones into the community. The ones that couldn't, they developed the campus in such a way that's fabulous. I mean, walk track, Olympic pool, therapy pools, doctor's office. They've got an industrial training facility where they packaged things and made money. They had the recycle center where they made money and loved their jobs and got a check and felt, like they were. But you had some of those that didn't need to be in the community. They need to be in that environment. If you
For their own protection.
yeah. If certain people, if they were off their meds, they're going to take 6 of them to calm them down. But and I hope that doesn't offend anybody. But so what they decided was that whole idea that we're institutionalizing them. I think this is my opinion, and that they think everyone's like the higher functioning ones. They should all be out in the community. Well, no, the blind deaf lady with the third not going to get grow any more than a
Right.
third grade mentality doesn't need to be in the community because it's going to take a direct service person with them all the time. And then so that's kind of what that is, and where they went with it.
Didn't you get bit at Orange Grove one time?
No, I got bit at Siskin.
Oh, okay. That's a long. That's how she got her teaching certificate.
They had taken. They had asked some of us to. I was working. I think it was for a while. I worked in the terminal. They called it the terminally ill, section.
Yes.
I thought, well, that's a terrible thing to call it, but it was the truth. I mean, it was those children didn't have very long life expectancy, and then they put me over in what I called the zoo, where the little kids were bouncing off the walls and all this stuff, and so they brought all the big officials over from UTC to see the new students working with these children.
Yes.
And there was this little guy, and his name was the Rod. His name was Rodney, I think, and he wore like these Coca-Cola bottle thick glasses. Well, his glasses were broken, so he's just running around the room, and when he'd run into something, he'd run in a different direction. Well, he ran up behind me, wrapped his arms around my legs, and bit me on the bottom, right in front of all the UTC officials. Well, at that point, you think, what am I going to do now? Well, they all went out in the hall and laughed, so they thought it was pretty funny. However, I'm sure it was quite entertaining. That started my teaching career right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, folks, you're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553. We're talking about Bachman Home and the closure of Bachman Home, the start of Bachman Home and the closure of Bachman Home. And so if you ever attended or know someone who attended Bachman Home, or if you ever taught there or worked there, we'd love for you to call us here.
Yeah, you don't have to ask a question. Call in and
just tell us,
talk about your experience, or even the people that meant something to you while you were there.
Yeah, we'd love to have a former student call in, and that's...
I know Debbie Walker cooked down there for a while.
And there's a gentleman who shared a picture with us of the class of 57. He was a student there, Donald Breedlove, and he shared a picture with us, and I posted it this morning on Facebook. He had it on his Facebook page, and I shared it with Old Town Cleveland. And if you'd like to follow Old Town Cleveland on Facebook, go to Friends of Old Town Cleveland. Friends of Old Town Cleveland. Click on there, and you'll see all the pictures that we post. And we share pictures from some of the other history sites here in town. Jeff Pettit runs a good one, and we share that with him. Margaret Steele from the... Margot, excuse me. I'm sorry, Margot. It's early in the morning, and my mouth's not open yet. The History Branch has their own Facebook, and she posts some really great pictures. She has an unbelievable catalog of pictures to share with us, and I'll share those, and so we should cross-share. And basically what we try to do is save history photos and stories, and that's why we thought Bachman Home was just the perfect thing for here today.
I'm curious, I've actually got some family members that's going to help them, label some of the pictures that were donated.
Yeah, we need to do that, because the names get gone quickly.
I have a classmate, Jeff Pettit, that's been posting pictures.
That's who. Yeah, Jeff does. He has a little site called Cleveland and Tennessee History. Yeah. And we share back and forth between each other.
I was hoping you didn't.
We share. And Jeff, matter of fact, Jeff come in and had his dad took a lot of slides.
His grandfather, Dr. Pettit.
Dr. Pettit.
In the 50s.
And some of the quality of the pictures are amazing.
It's unbelievable. He come in here and said, Deb said, well, here, I've got this little thing that makes it easier to make them into JPEG. And he did. And then he found something better, and we bought what he bought.
Well, it encouraged him, which we were really excited. It's a Canon 9000F scanner, and it has the little gizmo that you can do the slides to. And
excellent.
The quality's unbelievable. And he's learned how to my editing skills are, yay, I got it to show up on the screen.
Well, usually, too, you can scan slides. I mean, the negatives. Right. And convert it to a picture.
Right. The little gadget we have is about this big. You just slide the negative in there, pop it, it'll convert it, put it on, make it a JPEG for you, just like that.
That's slicker than snot on a doorknob.
It's so hard to get good prints made now. Greg's over here wondering if he should slap Jonathan for saying that.
I thought about kicking him.
Yeah.
All right. I understood it.
I did too.
All right. Hey, we got a call. Good morning, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hello?
Hey,
Hey!
Go ahead.
You're on Old Town Cleveland.
yeah, this is Joe Walker calling.
Oh, they've already been talking about you, Joe. Are you calling to defend yourself?
Hi, Joe.
How you doing?
Oh, pretty good, buddy. We're having a good time here. Thought you might want to call in and talk about your experience at Bachman.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm no stranger with the home. I can't hardly hear you. You're breaking up real bad on me.
We're having trouble.
We can hear you, though. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. Yeah, I grew up there at the home. I was there almost 11 years.
What years was that? Do you remember?
What's that?
What years were you there?
I came in 67. I came in 66 or 67, and I left in 79.
Yeah, and the family adopted you, didn't they, Joe?
Yes, I got adopted. That's after I got out of the home.
Who adopted you, Joe?
The Walkers, Larry and Carolyn Walker.
Wonderful.
Like I said, that was after I got out of the home, but being in the home, it was something. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of good times there.
What have you done since then, Joe?
Oh, well, I drive a tractor trailer now for a living. I've been driving that 20 plus years.
You did some heat and air, too, didn't you, Joe?
Oh, yes, I did. I do central heat and air on the side. I do electrical work. I just do a little bit of everything.
Where were you from originally? Was you from Cleveland or was you from some other area?
No, I was born in Chattanooga and raised in Cleveland.
Okay.
I went from a couple of homes down in Chattanooga and ended at Bachman home. Like I said, back in, it was 66, 67.
Where did you go to school?
78, 68 is when I come to the home.
Where did you go to grammar school and high school?
Grammar school was McDonald School in McDonald, Tennessee. And then I went to the Old Bradley Junior High School, which is, I think, is Ocoee Middle now. It used to be the old high school. And then I finished up at Bradley.
Hey, Joe, what comment would you make about which house manager or house parent or office person made the most difference in your life?
Which one did I have, or which one did I didn't hear the question.
Which one do you think had the most influence on your life?
That would have had to be I know Richard, Merriman, and Becky. I know Becky was the cook, and they did fill in at times. And I guess Richard was more of an influence than anybody because I learned a lot from Richard.
Yeah, Richard is, of course, brother-in-law, but he worked as a house manager and then maintenance for a while. My sister was a cook after Emma McGill was there for years. And Emma, you imagine, they called her Magoo. And matter of fact, that Joe can attest to this. When we play sports, if you up somebody on the basketball or whatever, the phrase was, "You better go eat some more Magoo's biscuits before you mess with me."
Yeah.
And she was just this wonderful cook, a round lady, this old country cook, and she would play around with the kids, and they'd mess with her. And one of the favorite things they liked her to do, this may sound bad, but it was all in jest, is get her mad enough to grab the meat cleaver. Y'all get out of here!
and Jonathan, there was another lady there that I had the most up respect for because I didn't care what we done or how we tried to do it. We always got caught, and she would call her name, and she wouldn't even see us. She just knew who it was, and that was Mrs. Cooper.
Yes, another houseman, yeah.
Are you saying, Joe, you were one of those that got in trouble quite often?
All the time.
Hey, Joe? Could I tell the story about you trying to acquire the foosball table?
Well, yes, sir. Yeah, that was one of my dumb moves.
All right, can I tell that story?
Absolutely.
Okay, guys, I got to tell you, this is a great story. So, Dad comes up they had the chapel, and in the bottom half was our little game room, the pop shop, and it had the foosball tables and ping pong and pool table, and you drive around past it to go up to the back of the main building. And Dad wheels around there one night, and as his lights hits the bottom of the chapel, he notices foosball table sticking out of one of the windows. So he backs up, looks, and sure enough, there's a foosball table stuck in the window. So he walks up to it, and he notices Joe in the bushes, and he can tell who it is.
No.
No?
Another kid that was in the bush.
Oh, okay. So Dad called him by name, and they came out, and Dad says, "How'd you get in there? And you the one getting in the kitchen and the pantry and stuff?" And Joe's like, yeah. And so Dad says, "Well, come here." And so Joe thought he was going to get it. Now, this is my memory, Joe. And so Dad walked in there and got a wad of keys, that one leather thing, and gave it to Joe and says, "If anybody needs into anything, I'm going to send them to you. And if anything's missing, I'm going to come to you." And that's how he dealt with Joe, because Joe was able to get into places.
Joe learned mechanics.
Yes, he was good with his hands.
They actually got me out of school one day to do that, so they must really thought I was pretty good at doing it.
Joe, I got two questions for you now. One is, what were you going to do with the table? Was you go?
I really don't know. I thought maybe I was going to sell it and make a little money, and
Or take it to your room.
I really don't know.
You was going to take it to your room and charge a fee to play it. What now? The second question, more serious, Joe. Who was some of the people that you attended Bachman home with? Who was some of the other students that was there with you?
What was that now?
Who was some of the other people, some of the other children there with you that you became friends with, and have you kept up with them?
Not a whole lot. I just got to talk to Billy Gribble. You remember the Gribbles? They recently come on Facebook. I managed to say a few words to him, and I talked different times with Alice Bradshaw. I talk with her, sometimes on Facebook, different times, different things. There's not been a whole lot of them because, I'm gone all the time.
Hey, Joe, why don't you talk about the Klingons?
What's that?
Why don't you talk about the Klingon family?
Okay. Jerry Klingon lives in Texas and Houston. Sherry's out in California. And I think Vicky is still living in Chattanooga. And, Lee here passed away back last month. We lost him, and he was a good friend for years with me. We was kind of like best friends.
There was a family of 6, was it? Or 7?
No, 6. 4
6.
boys, 2 girls.
But they were at Bachman at the same time with Joe and me. We were close to the same age.
Well, Joe, thank you for calling so much. And do you have any stories on Jonathan yet? We hadn't heard any good ones on Jonathan.
Do what now?
Do you have any stories on Jonathan? We need to tell one on Jonathan.
On Jonathan, I just soon there's only one, and I'm going to keep that one.
Oh! We do have LCC rules, I know. We can't tell everything.
That could be for another day.
Thank you, Joe. Nice talking to you, sir.
You too, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, Joe.
Hey, you can call us here at 614-5553. If you got questions about Bachman Home or the orphanage or how it worked or didn't work, please let us know. The orphanage, was the church paying for everything, or was this some state funds, or how did the orphanage work financially?
My understanding is it was a blend of resources. If the families could pay, they paid some. the Presbytery of East Tennessee. It was one of their specialized special ministries, they called it.
Uh-huh.
And so whenever the churches throughout East Tennessee Presbytery donated to the mission fund, this was one of the missions that would get part of the funds.
Okay, so this was a Presbyterian.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that came from the Dr. Bachman, who was a minister in Knoxville,
Right.
First
Yeah,
Presbyterian.
Presbyterians did a lot of things with education, up in Verde, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And they had the big Verde school for the Melungeons who couldn't attend the white school, or, they were sort of a
Well,
separate.
Princeton, Tusculum, Maryville, Knoxville.
Yeah.
Those Knox College, those are all Presbyterian colleges at one time.
So the Presbyterian school there in Verde was amazing what they did in the early turn of the centuries. They had movie making when it was in an infancy that no school in Cleveland, Tennessee had. So
Yeah.
it was amazing, and it was we got to tour the museum. The building now has collapsed, but pretty. And
May I add something here, Ron, before we go to break?
I thought we had the phone flashing, but maybe I'm just.
It's your vision, Ron.
My
You're
vision's
just seeing
going
things.
bad.
Stroke.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry. Free fishing this weekend, this Saturday, in all across Tennessee in any public water. You may fish without a license. Children the age that requires a license may fish through Friday free of charge.
Yeah, if
So
you go
take
to
your kids fishing.
You go to Gatlinburg, you'll see them walking down the streets getting the
Yeah.
trout.
Yeah.
Well, we saw folks out fishing places we'd never seen before. Let's get this caller.
Go ahead, caller. You live.
This is T Bandy.
Hey, T Bandy.
What's going on, buddy?
I had a lot of going on, breaking hips and first one thing and another.
Well, let's don't break a hip.
Now I got a fish truck coming July the 1st.
Okay, your last fish truck, I think it's the first time in a year and a half we weren't in the middle of a drought, and you sold quite a few fish, didn't you?
Yeah,
Okay, fish truck coming July 1st, Bradley Farmers Co-op.
yeah.
If you want to order fish, tell them that number, T.
478-2405.
Right, that's easier than going out and catching your fish today free with no license.
Yeah.
Thank you, T.
All feed over at Bachman home.
Did you?
Co-op, yeah.
Now, at some point in time, did they have a lot of animals over there?
Yeah, they had rabbits one time, and then they had chickens. Then they got them a dairy, and they didn't last long, I don't think.
Yeah, a little while, yeah.
Benny and Tommy White was over
Yes.
Yes.
The Whites are wonderful folks. Got the farmhouse restaurant in Tellico. Etowah.
Etowah.
Oh, do they? Okay.
there. Yeah, Bill's got a restaurant, and
Yeah.
he used to own this over here at Prospect, but he
Yes.
sold it.
Hey, if you got their numbers, why don't you call in and tell them to call in? Those would be good folks.
Give
They say
Marilyn a
nice
call up at the
things.
farmhouse and tell them to call in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Bye, darling. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We keep the pond stocked in Bradley County
Yeah,
through
that's
T.
I tell you, we have, Bachman had 16 acres of vegetable garden. Had no Morgan horse originally, and then Mac Barnett, we got a tractor, two of them, 175, 185, Massey Ferguson, and went to that, a 14-foot flatbed.
We got
They
a call
originally
on.
had a dairy by hand, and then they got a grant in the late 60s got it into modern one with glass tubes and everything.
Was this all for consumption?
Yes, Mayfield would process it and bring it back to us.
Oh, okay. Let's
Yeah.
get this call here. Hey, go ahead, caller. You're live.
This is Martha, Flew, Jonathan's sister.
He laughed because he's afraid that you might know a story on him, Martha.
Let's see. Where do I start?
We only got another hour.
Okay, I'll make it short. Everything I learned right or wrong was at Bachman from everybody, and my parents loved every one of those kids as if they belonged to us. Actually, I thought they were ours. And a lot of life lessons and how to work a farm, I'll tell you that. Even now, I still have my own garden and chickens.
Well, a farm, everybody has to work to make it work, don't they?
I mean, it was a team effort, and the kids didn't mind it. I mean, sometimes when you go swimming, they did.
Yeah, or got up at 5 to milk.
Yeah, 4:30, 5 o'clock, and going to the kitchen and helping. But I'll tell you the best things is the pictures that show where everyone's sitting with, excuse me, Emma McGill shucking corn.
Breaking beans, yeah.
Yep. And things that you can't be taught in school, let's put it that way, even then or now. So, and one of my favorite things is all the kids got thrown in the water trough when it was their birthday. So,
It took about 8 of them, but they threw Dad in one year.
And all, things weren't always just peaches and cream, but no matter what, everybody stuck together, figured it out. 3 o'clock in the morning, if the kid was crying, that was a situation to take care of. No one said, go back to sleep, ignore them. There was a reason. And I will share this, when the kids came in, they stayed at our house first because Dad didn't want to throw them in a large environment. And I'll never forget, we'd wake up kids in the bed with us and whatever. We used to ask names. We didn't pay attention. And woke up one day, went to get dressed, and there was a little girl in my closet sleeping. And her name was Gail Disney. And Dad said that's what she's used to, just leave her alone. For months, she stayed down there sleeping in that closet. But she felt good to be acclimated and taken on into the home. But, I didn't get to hear the rest of the station. I don't have I'm at work. I don't have a computer with me.
We are recording this show, and it will be on our Facebook page, and we'll be sure to share it with Jonathan about the middle of the week, so you'll be able to get somewhere and listen to it.
Unless the system breaks.
Yeah. We are just being held together with baling wire and duct tape.
Yeah. But they do have a backup squirrel, so it's kind of nice.
But with Jonathan, there's no telling.
He's having a good time.
That story you told about you earlier, I said, I don't think you should have said that.
Wait a minute. I'm a little behind here.
Oh, never mind. No, we can't repeat it again anyway.
FCC was already in here.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, awesome. I do have an attorney. No. No, I'm sure everyone knows my brother-in-law, Richard, was there at the children's home way before I was born, and has always been a big part of our family. Him, Glenn Allman, all these people that, are around and doing well or have been around. And I think that speaks for the whole situation at Bachman with the success of these children or adults even. Daddy also ministered to the house parents. But getting out and making a successful life for themselves. And there's just so much to say. You can't really put it into an hour. Maybe Jonathan can record some at home and share stories on
Well, Bob Johnson, remember Bob Johnson had that For Kids' Sake or whatever it was? And they did an interview Dad, and this was back before he, or was it after he retired? It was in the 80s. And Mom came back and says, Dad just spoke like he does, and he had some of those folks crying and hugging him. Mm-hmm. Just the realness of, interacting with people and, just dealing with folks.
They never liked those programs about them. They wanted really to promote Bachman, not my parents.
Right.
And that was the innocent and best part of it. It wasn't a job. It was a lifestyle for them. It was very sincere. They had several TV programs come on about them, and I took my dad's awards that we didn't know he had all these awards.
Yeah.
He didn't post them up. He didn't care. But I have 30-something plaques here that I took when he passed away. That's nothing but acclamations of how much he did for everyone. But he didn't care about that. He never thought. Mom and Dad didn't think, where's my paycheck? Where's nothing? I mean, we never talked about any of that growing up, did we, Jonathan?
No.
It was like, what else can we do? What do we need? What's next?
Yeah. I think even my senior year, I was the house manager for the summer. Yeah. And we hauled hay and broke beans, all that. The chicken house, I forget how many it had at one time, and then we had the pigs, and we had a grandfather who'd come from Pennsylvania, make quarter-inch home-cured bacon and smoke 2 types of sausage. He'd go get the saplings, and there was the medium sausage and then the sausage from the spices make your face wet, but it was good.
I can still smell that smokehouse.
Oh, yeah.
You walk in there, and it's like, oh, that's just wonderful. And then next to it was, of course, Little Debbie's donated Little Debbie's, and you got meat and sweets. Hey, that was perfect.
God, what a life.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you. We got to take our mid-morning break here.
Thanks for calling, dear. If you think of something else, call us back.
All right.
Thank you. We can take our mid-morning break here, and every week we play a song called Gone Home. We dedicate this song to everyone who passed away this past week in our community, your family, or around the country, or anywhere. And those passed in the past, we dedicate these songs to them. After our commercial, you'll hear Gone Home. We'll be back. We'll probably get a song from these two guys again when we get back on the air here. We'll be back just a few minutes here on Old Town Cleveland. Don't go away.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
And you're listening to WOOPLP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
At Buy Here, Pay Here USA, we don't just sell cars, we buy them. Bring your car, truck, or SUV down to Buy Here, Pay Here USA, and we'll give you a free appraisal with no obligation. We pay top dollar for most cars, so before you trade in your vehicle, come see us for an appraisal. At Buy Here, Pay Here USA, we pay the most for your car. Visit Buy Here, Pay Here USA in Cleveland, Dayton, or Chattanooga, or go to buyheresellhere.com. That's buyheresellhere.com. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Did you know that U.S. Money Shops cashes all checks, even the ones most check cashers reject? Tax refund checks, government checks, payroll checks, and many more. And when you cash a check with U.S. Money Shops, we'll give you 10% off your next purchase. At U.S. Money Shops, we have everything you need at a fraction of regular retail. So stop by one of our 11 locations or visit us online at usmoneyshops.com.
Buy or sell or apply today. The better way at U.S. Money Shops.
Some restrictions may apply. See store for details.
No dealers allowed.
Jackson Catnapper, family owned and operated in Cleveland since 1933, offering the best with over 70 styles of recliners, sofas, electronic lift chairs, full living room packages. Call Mike now at 961-7239 because Jackson Catnapper now offers sales to the public
every Saturday. That's right, every Saturday.
From 8 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. Or call Mike at 961-7239. Or go see him
every Saturday
at 1911 King Edward Avenue, just across from the main plant. Jackson Catnapper, family owned and operated in Cleveland since 1933. 961-7239.
No dealers allowed.
join the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as their work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. Shopping mall. Ooh, where'd the old town go? Did my hometown get old, or just me? Did all my friends get old, or just me? Are they all gonna have to be told, or just me?
I'm dyslexic.
Hey, welcome back to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553. We got Greg Sermon here and Jonathan Plug. And is that Plug or Plug?
Flug.
Plug.
I can
okay.
imagine
Now,
it's
Kenny Higgins, when we were years a year ahead of me, we went in the locker room and he's looking at the new people coming in, and he said, "Who's this Jonathan P. Plug?"
Plug.
So that's what I was called through high school.
We have Pam
Bradshaw.
Bradshaw on the line. Hey, Pam, are you still there? Hello, Pam.
We must not have Pam.
Pam, call us back. Sorry about that, Pam.
Pam, are you there? Nope, she's not there. Pam, call us back. That's
She got tired of holding on.
5553.
All right.
Hey, we're going to play a song here real quick, or I'm not going to play a song. I don't know anything about guitars myself.
That's right.
Set this one up for us.
Well, this is not an original one. This is we figured we might do a couple we didn't know. We didn't know. Anyways, y'all might know this one. This is just a little talk with Jesus.
Promise not to sing along.
I once was lost in sin, but Jesus took me in, and then a little light from heaven filled my soul. He bathed my heart in love and wrote my name above, and just a little talk with Jesus made me whole. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our troubles. He will hear our faintest cry, and he will answer by and by. Now when you hear the wheel turning and you know a little fire is burning, you will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. It makes it right. Sometimes my path seems drear without a ray of cheer, and then a cloud about me hides the light of day. The mist of sin may rise and hide the starry skies, and just a little talk with Jesus clears away. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our troubles. He will hear your faintest cry, and he will answer by and by. Now when you feel a little prayer wheel turning, and you know a little fire is burning, you will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right, makes it right. I may have doubts and fears, my eyes be filled with tears, but Jesus is a friend who watches day and night. I go to him in prayer, he knows my every care, and just a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our troubles. He will hear our faintest cry, and he will answer by and by. Now when you feel a little prayer wheel turning, and you know a little fire is burning, you will have a little talk with Jesus makes it right. It makes it right.
Amen. Very good. Hey, we got a call here. Go ahead, call. You're live.
Hey, how you doing, brother? Hey, this is Richard Merman. And I was raised in Bachman home, but before I say anything about Bachman, I'd like to say that Big Jonathan and Greg need a little bass in there.
Amen.
Do the job.
We would have had you, Richard, but you were a little preoccupied.
But
What year did you attend Bachman?
I was in Bachman from 1955 to 1965, and I'd like to say that Bachman home was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. And that's where I met my future, that's where I met my wife.
His first wife.
My only wife. In fact, me and Becky, Becky Flug is my wife, and I met my father-in-law there, Mr. Flug, who's has been a father to me all my life, and I love him very much, him and Miss Flug. And if it wasn't for them, I don't know exactly where I'd be at in my life. And I'd like to say that Bachman home is a great place, and was when I lived there at least. And without a doubt, I could say these things because there's a lot of good things that come. There's a lot of good kids that come out of Bachman. I don't care what society or anyone else says. They're great kids, and they all deserve a chance, and I love them very much. And I thank you for this opportunity to be able to express my opinion about Bachman home, because it was a great home when I lived there. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Hey, Richard. Talk a little bit about, because you and I have never really talked about that, and I think it might be interesting. Talk about the scout troop that was at Bachman in your trip to Canada.
Oh, okay. We had a scout troop that was actually really an explorer troop. And we went to Canada for 15 days. Wow. Started out in Ely, Minnesota, and went into Canada, and all we had was our canoe and our food and stuff. And it's truly a land of Minnesota's where we started out at, and then went into Canada. But it's truly a land of 10,000 lakes, because you went from one lake to another, and you might pick your canoe up and walk 10 steps and you'll be in another lake. Or you might take 25 steps and be another lake. But still, and the water was so clear, and a lot of the lakes, you could actually almost see the bottom. And some parts of it, you got out to the deep parts, you couldn't, of course, but boy, we had such a great time, and we didn't wear clothes, and we all cut our hair, like mohawks or whatever we got, and we come back, I believe I really looked like an Indian.
I want you to know I didn't...
We're brown from one end to the other.
I didn't tell you, but I put one of the highlights on the Bachman alumni page, and you're in the back with your mohawk. Hey,
have you seen us before we went?
Yeah.
See a picture after we come back.
What year was that? Do you remember? How old were you?
That'd be 1963, I think, when we went. And but anyway, it was we had a lot of memories, up there, and came back. We had fun, and here was the catch. Our explorer troop, explorer master, Mike DeFord, he'd always say, "All right, now don't y'all be standing up, and don't none of y'all turn these canoes over, So him and Danny Newport were canoe. We had partners that we canoed with, and him and Danny canoed together with, and the only ones on there that stood up and turned their canoe over was them. We laughed, said, "Yeah, tell us don't do it." Oh, it's so fun. We had a great time. Really, it was really fun. But that just goes to show you that there's people out in the community that done things for Bachman, and they really did. There was a lot of people good people in Cleveland that done great things for the kids at Bachman, and the kids appreciated it. They really did, and our Sunday school teachers and everything like that, and they just molded our lives, for God.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and they really did. They done a great job.
Hey, Richard, I was thinking of a story. What was the guy that fell asleep at First Pres and hit his head? What was his name?
Henry Dodson.
Okay. Do you want to tell that story or me? Tell you what, I'll tell it.
Oh, Henry, Henry had, we had to get up 4 o'clock in the morning every morning, to milk cows and stuff like that. So when we went to school or anything, or church or whatever, we was tired. People didn't understand, why in the afternoons at school while we fell asleep. And they'd say, well, get on to us and all this. And I said, well, I'm tired. But we didn't tell them why we was tired. We didn't tell them we got up. I mean, we, like in the Army, the Army has a saying, we done more work before 9 o'clock. Most of y'all do all day long. Well, that's the way we did at Bachman. We had to work at Bachman. And, but anyway, old Henry, we got church out one time, and old Henry, he'd always, when he fell asleep, he'd start snoring.
And he'd nod. He started nodding at church, and he was sitting on the outside of the pew, wasn't he?
He'd start nodding, he'd go down there a little bit, and then he'd raise his head, turn his head back. Then he'd go down a little bit further, and then jerk his head back. Then that one time he fell, and he hit his forehead on the front pew and fell out in the middle of the floor.
In the aisle at First Presbyterian.
In the aisle, First Presbyterian Church. And I said, oh, Lord, Papa's got another thing he's got to go through.
But what was funny is he got disoriented, crawled to the other aisle, and pulled himself up on this lady's knees. Said, excuse me.
Henry's crazy, boy.
God works in mysterious ways, I guess.
Yeah. There's thousands and thousands of stories that we could tell, but they're all good.
You need to start writing them all down. We talk about that a lot here.
Could have wrote a book, couldn't we?
Ain't too late.
But, yes, I really appreciate the opportunity, because Bachman really was a great place. It really was. Of course, Big Jonathan, you know that. You wasn't a kid in the home, but you was a kid in the home.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, you know what I mean. You grew up with us.
That's right. Well, and as somebody said, you can pick your friends, but you're stuck with your relatives.
Well, Richard, you made one mistake in there. Jonathan hadn't grown up yet. He's the same as he was when I known him when he was younger.
Who wants to grow up?
Somebody. Yeah.
I heard it was optional. Growing old was mandatory.
That's true. Who wants to grow up? Have fun all your life.
My brain's still young, but the rest of my body's sort of falling behind.
Yeah.
Ron, I tell people I don't mind being my age, but I hate the days I feel my age and they're more frequent.
Yes, get closer together. Well, thank you so much for calling.
Oh,
do you have anything else? All right, bye-bye.
I'd just like to say one more thing.
Go ahead, as long as you want to.
For all the kids, that grew up in Bachman, I loved every one of them.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
There's they're still my brothers and my sisters in my heart. And I see some of them every now and then, but not as many as I'd like to, because I don't know where they're scattered out around around America now. But some of them I do, but not all of them. But anyway, I like to say that I love them.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. I got
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. I got a text message over here about the nakedness in Canada, and they said that was the original Naked and Afraid. Canadian version.
Folks, you're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9.
Maybe not afraid.
Or go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. This group has got crazy on it. You can call us here at 614-5553. You got Greg Sarelman and Jonathan Flugan here. We're talking about Bachman Home. If you attended, have a question, whatever, give us a call. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron and Debbie. How's it going?
Hey, Joe.
Miss Joe. What's going on, sister?
Oh, the same old, same old. I missed you last week, but I got to talk with a guy that was on the program, and I enjoyed it.
Well, good.
We appreciate those guys coming in and helping out for us to get a day off every now and then. We need a 2-week vacation from the 1-week vacation we just took. I'm tired.
You're up awful early this morning, Joe. I mean, did you drink that much? You didn't drink as much last night, did you?
No, I thought I'd save it a little so I could have a drink with you.
All right.
She gets him every time.
But, no, I got to talk with Tommy. Excuse me. And his wife is my nurse.
Oh, really?
And I got the opportunity to tell him what I thought about his wife. He has got the greatest and the sweetest wife. I mean, she is so dear to me. Well, I could just pinch her.
So can Tommy.
She is just wonderful. Yeah. I mean, she's not just only nice to me. She's nice to all the other patients that come in down there. And I just wanted him to know it last Saturday. So finally he kept talking, and he said we'd been on vacation down at Panama City. And I thought, well, I'll just stick my foot in my mouth. So I called and asked him if his wife was a nurse, and he said, yes, ma'am. So I got to say a few words to him, and it was great.
He's a good guy.
He's a nice fellow to come help us out when we want a day off.
Yeah, well, he was great. But I tell you what, his wife, you couldn't keep from loving her. She is just wonderful. I wouldn't trade her for nothing.
There you go.
All right. Even a bottle of Jack?
Pardon?
Not even a bottle of Jack?
No,
Okay, well, that's pretty serious then.
I'm telling you, but I've enjoyed this program this morning, especially that last guy that came on there.
Yes, well, you could tell he really meant it, didn't he?
Yes, he did, and when he said he loved them all, I mean, that if that don't touch your heart, nothing will.
I thought you were talking about the part when he said he was naked.
Ron, I'm going to come down and I'm going to beat you to death.
He needs a spanking. Thank you, Joe.
Bye-bye,
We'll
Joe.
talk to you next week, dear. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
They like to pick at each other if you didn't figure that one out.
You got to quit that drinking, though. I mean,
I want to tell everybody that Fro's being the DJ down at this car show that's going on at Cleveland Fastener and Supply, and it's over here on Starview Drive, so they won't be hard to find. And it looked like to me, he sent me some picture, the size of a postage stamp, that looks like maybe they're having some kind of indoor sale there.
So
Maybe it's an auction.
Phone yet, huh?
He didn't know. But bless him, he's been trying to call in. But call us here at 614-5553. We've really enjoyed the calls this morning.
You guys
And
want
the
to sing
music?
another song?
We can.
They know
Do you know
they know
another?
the ABC
Do
song.
Why don't you sing the next one, seeing we've done the two we practiced?
Well, what about the one you wrote? We do
All right,
the-
wait a minute,
use the
call.
way.
We got a call. Y'all
Call
pick
and safety.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, go ahead, caller. You're live.
Hey, this is Pam Bradshaw. I called earlier.
Sorry, Pam. We're sorry you got.
Nonprofit community radio station.
Wait a minute. Ron,
that is
put,
made
hang
possible
on,
by
Pam.
generous donation.
I don't know why that came on.
Pam, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are totally inefficient here, but we do have Jonathan here that wants to talk to you.
Okay.
Hi, Pam.
Hey, Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm doing good today. I'm glad you called. Yeah, we're in here talking about and reminiscing about Bachman. You want to share some stuff?
Oh, Lord. All I can say about that place is I loved it. That was my home from 71 until 76. And I live in Illinois now, but just about every summer I go back and visit my mom, and whenever I do, I always have to go by Bachman before I leave. Just look at the place because I have so many great memories of living there and everything. And, you know, when you tell someone that you lived in an orphanage or a children's home for part of your childhood, everybody's like, oh, my gosh, I'm so sorry for it. You know, I'm like, wait just a minute. You do not realize how good I had it there. You know, all kids had a bicycle. We had this huge gym where everybody had skates. We had a swimming pool, a tennis court, basketball. We had everything a child could ever want. And plus the love, you know, from your parents and the atmosphere they created there, it was just, it was a dream place for a child that had come from broken homes and, you know, alcoholic families and just different things, you know, and it was just a dream place to live.
Pam, let's let them know how many brothers and sisters were there with you.
There was 5 of us, and when we got to Bachman, the oldest one was 12, and my youngest brother Robert, he was like 3.
Yeah.
But there was 5 of us children, and you know, and it was just great. It was yeah. They kept us all together, but my 2 younger brothers, but they did go to foster homes because, I mean, they were very young.
Yes.
But people's like, you know what, ask me a lot of time because I'm a loud person and just outgoing and stuff. I'm like, you don't realize I was raised with, whenever I got there was 80 children there. You know, you're going to be heard. If you want to get heard, you got to get a little loud.
That's right.
And stuff. And I'm like, you know, and the thing about it is so many of them I'm still friends with and still in contact with. And I've always said, you know, and the thing about it is we were all like brothers and sisters. We fought like brothers and sisters. And all.
Amen.
But yet, let somebody on the outside come on, go whoop one of them, well, they got a ball to whip then. You know, like, no, you don't understand how this works.
That's right.
We can argue, fight amongst ourselves, but you don't come from the outside, go come in there and go whoop nobody.
That's right. You know.
Fam, where'd you go to school at? Did you go to McDonald and?
I went to McDonald, and then I went to Bradley Junior High and Bradley High, the old ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's just so many good experiences.
Pam, other than my parents, what house manager or office person do you think?
Okay.
Yeah.
The Williams, Mr. and Miss Gibson was my house parents. I had Pat and Ralph Barnwell. Oh my goodness, Sharon Smith. She was my house parent for a while. Oh my goodness. There were so many of them I remember. Beverly Holland wasn't never my house parent.
Right.
But I'm in contact with her, and of course...
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Faye Cooper, I mean, she was a legend there, you know.
Yes.
Everybody loved Miss Cooper.
Did those people live here in Cleveland, or did they come from out of town?
I think they come from out of town.
Yeah, and they lived on campus.
They lived on campus.
On the halls or the house. Yeah.
Okay.
They lived on the halls. And then they had a place for them whenever, like, they had days off and stuff. I don't remember. I think it was a motel they had or whatever, or wherever they could go wherever they wanted to. Oh, and yeah, and Gail, I think Gail Hooker was my house parent for a long time. Mm-hmm. And her family was in West Virginia. And, like, when she would get time off and stuff during the summer, well, you know, she'd get permission to go through the necessary steps. I went to West Virginia with her several times. It was just, I mean, everything, I don't know, you know, Jonathan, it was just...
Never a lull.
you was like your own home.
Yeah. It was interesting. I remember the year we had a really good snow. And that was one thing we didn't have were sleds.
Yeah.
And so McGill, she opened up the kitchen, and we got pie pans and pots, and they had flat shovels, and we were riding them down the front of the building.
Oh, Lord, yes.
That's one memory I stuck out. And then
and one thing I loved is, like, you had the girls, whenever I first got there, all the girls had kitchen duties, and the boys always worked at the barn. Well, we all got to arguing, the girls wanted time in the barn. And I remember there was me and Dawn Taylor and Cindy Douglas. We worked at the barn. We wanted barn work, so we was nipping cows, and that's years and years ago. Erlen Allen was over the barn then.
Yeah.
And so us girls out there using them automatic milkers, I think we finally decided, we will just take the kitchen. It was a lot dirtier than we thought.
Oh, yeah, because the new barn had
that opportunity to learn,
Yeah, and the new barn had the pit, so you were down below the cow.
Yeah.
Feet right there, splattering.
That doesn't always go well.
No, it didn't. In fact, yeah. I think that's what turned us girls away. We're like, well, we think we will just go to.
Yeah, kitchen duty sounded better all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it smelled better.
I'm sure it did.
We were given that opportunity to go do it, and hey.
Well, that's how you learn.
Yeah, they was always open to new ideas and things from us the kids. They could give their input on things, and if it sounded fine, they let you try it.
Did Jonathan get in as much trouble as you said as some of you did?
Jonathan was a character, always has been. Everybody loved him, and he was right in the middle with all the kids. I mean, the Fluke children, they was like we were. We were all treated the same. Jonathan and Martha, they got treated the same as the rest of the Bachman kids.
I've heard Jonathan probably got more spankings than the rest of you did, though.
He might have.
Well, okay, he deserved more, and his dad probably gave him more.
Yeah.
I don't know what did your mom or your dad give you the spankings?
It was Dad.
I was.
Yeah, I got kind of big early, and so.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's been great. Well, listen, it's been great talking to y'all, but I'm in a vehicle in Illinois traveling to St. Louis, so I'm going to have to get off here.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling, Pam.
Good to hear from you.
I've enjoyed talking. I wanted to call and.
Well, we're sorry we hung up on you earlier.
Oh, honey, that's okay. That ain't no problem. I got back through.
All righty. Thank you, dear. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let me ask you a question. When did the church stop managing Bachman Home and it became someone else took it on after the church, right? And
yes.
What can you know the progression?
I know a little bit of it.
Okay.
Dad retired in '89, and then they continued a little bit on with that type of home. Well, somewhere in that process, after Dad left, they decided to make it a facility for taking care of attention deficit hyperactive disorders, and be a full-time. That means they live there, and then a remote where they would come in and go home. And they asked Dad to be on the board. It was kind of interesting. I think officially it opened up as a school in '99 is when they officially changed over to do that. And the church's involvement in it and for support, I don't know how much when they changed. I do know they asked Dad to be on the board, and he was looking at what was going to cost per child, and he goes, "This is not sustainable." And they did keep it, I don't know how, but they did work it out, but it's
been rough.
So did it become a for-profit group or anything, or was a church run it? Or
well, see, there's two things that could have happened, and I'm being honest, I just don't know. When they switched over, you could have been part of the keep their ties with the Presbyterian Church, keep their tax-exempt status that way. Or if they broke ties, then, they would have got their own LLC and paid taxes and make it a for-profit.
Let's get this call here. We got the one, the only, Fro Daddy. Go ahead, Fro.
Debbie?
Yes, you're live on the air, Fro.
Hey, it's DJ Fro, Daddy. I'm live here at Cleveland Fastener and Supply, the cruise in right up here off Starview Drive. How you guys doing on the show today?
We're doing great.
It's been a busy morning.
Hey, tell Ron they've got Ramsey's Barbecue all the way from Whitwell, Tennessee.
Whitwell?
Now, you didn't say that right. That's right. You got to say it right.
Whoa.
Whitwell.
I'm sorry, Whitwell.
Right. Well, hey, I get off here at 12.
I figured you guys would be up here at 12:10.
That's right. Maybe a little sooner.
Hey, hey man, there are a lot of neat vehicles up here. I thought it was going to be a small little car show, but they've got all kinds of neat cars up here and motorcycles. I'm talking $165,000 vehicles. It's crazy. Come on up to the Cleveland Fasteners and Supply right here on Starview Drive, up off Grove Avenue, just past Gilbert's Collision Center, right here in Cleveland.
Let me ask you a question, Fro, real quick. Back when your daddy ran a car lot, how many cars could you get for $165,000?
How many cars did I get?
How many could you have got for $165,000?
9 cars.
Oh, probably more than that. Those were.
Hey, I'm calling in live on Whoop Radio 99.9 FM on Old Town Cleveland Show with Ron and Dave Moore. What you guys talking about today?
We're talking about Bachman Home here. We've got Jonathan Flug here and Greg Serum. Do you know Jonathan Flug?
Oh, Bachman Home, yeah. Harvey Jim used to call me every day.
Harvey Jim. All right. Do you still have Matador on your show?
Well, yes, sadly. I would have brought him with me today. He usually comes if I do an evening show, but, he's not up yet.
That's what I thought. We got a caller like that, too. She's usually not up this early.
It probably wouldn't be good for him to fall asleep in one of these $150,000 vehicles up here.
No. Well, he'd be there for the barbecue, wouldn't he?
No, and then I'd have to pay for it.
Oh, well, I thought you always bought his lunch.
No. No, he eats bag of potato chips and a Coca-Cola every day.
That's right. On your show?
Oh, yeah. Live.
That's right.
Hey, listen, I just wanted to call in and check in with you guys, put the word out for your listeners. Come on up here to the show. It'll be going till 2 o'clock. And, hey, if they get here in time, they can put their name in the stub in the box here, and they do a drawing every hour, at the top of every hour, and giving away prizes, cash, and it doesn't cost a thing.
Tell us where it is again.
And, of course, they have a barbecue for you, Ron.
Yes. Yeah. Tell us where it's at. One more time.
It's up on Starview Drive, just...
right past Gilbert's Collision Center.
Yeah.
All righty. Thanks, bud.
Bye-bye. Appreciate you guys, and have a good show. We'll see you later.
All right. Thank you, Fro. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Fro Daddy Show, 3:30, 5:30, Monday through Friday, here on Whoop Radio. I think their ad says the strangest thing on radio is what their ad says in the banner. So enter at your own risk. That's what I would say. Yeah, that's the Fro Daddy Show, 3:30, 5:30, Monday through Friday, only on Whoop Radio. It's the only place that have him. Sort of like Old Town Cleveland, the only place that have us. So, that's why we're here also. Call in here once again at 614-5553. Got Greg Serum, John Plug here. We're talking about Bachman Home and the creation of it. So for over 100 years, that location down there has been some type of orphanage or group home service to youth. So it's a sad commentary that it is now leaving our community. We never did hear what the name of that other orphanage was on Wildwood Avenue. You go past Forked Light and take a right. Right there on your right. It was a Heaven's Hill retirement home at one time, I believe. And it's right behind the church there at the corner across from the old Allen School. So someone should know what that is.
They're all going, yeah, I remember. But
everybody remembers that, don't know the name of it.
I just want to tell everybody that the little antique shop's open again down in Tinga.
Oh, great.
And she has some really neat-looking things. I don't need to go there. We'll buy some more junk for our house.
You just can't buy. The orphanages are a thing that seem to are just they're just have they just disappeared, or are we just not seeing them here in our local area now? Like I said, one time we were very well known for at least the 2 orphanages here, But now, are they going away? Are they all this group home concept because
I think all
state gives them money?
society has changed a little bit. That there's more public support for women to raise children on their own. Or
you look at a whole slew of factors. I believe. I mean, because why would you be in a rural area of the mountains up there with an orphanage? What happened to the parents? I mean, you got the copper mines, the coal mines,
Right.
logging, and you got TB. And I'm thinking that society, a lot of places are looking like anywhere USA now. You've got all your Starbucks and da-da-da-da, but you've got roads and more resources and health care, even for those that can't afford it. I think that that might be playing into the orphanage issue. Is that,
and I think the health care has changed those things
Yes.
too, because it would be really odd for a child to lose both parents now.
Yes.
I think and
Doable, but not, odd.
facilities like that are more profit driven now.
Yes,
The churches probably have a harder time just running their church now. I think probably society has changed so much than what it used to be. The tithing might be different. There's some churches look like they're doing well.
Yeah, they're really
in the
big
community,
mega
and
churches.
some- and then of course, I attended a small Methodist church. I live right next door to the little church I attended. Basically, the conference no longer supports the church.
Right.
So, it did always, that McDonald, Black Box, and what was the other one? Pleasant Grove, where I lived. Those three were in a circuit.
Okay,
And
yes.
They're no longer supported by the Holston Conference. They still own the buildings, but, or they did. They still own the one at my house. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron and Debbie and Jonathan. It's Gary Austin.
Hey, Gary, what's up, buddy?
I just gonna mention a couple of things about Bachman. I know that growing up and playing in the elementary basketball league, I always wondered why McDonald was so tough in basketball. and then I met some of the guys after we got out of school, and there was a Johnson family down there that there were like 3 or 4, I think 4 of them that were down there that I got to know really well. One of them was Ruth. And,
Yes.
She's one of the sweetest people I know.
Oh yeah.
But I always liked being around them, and they told stories about places, about things that happened down there. But I appreciate the Flug family, all of you, for doing what you did to help those kids, and it's just a blessing for our community if you do that.
Well, thank you, Gary. I tell you, Dad lived by example, and he had a great saying. I use this sometimes when preaching. He said, "You only get out of," he'd tell the kids at home, "You only get out of church what you put into it." And this applies to a lot of things. It applies to your marriage, to your job, to your family. To your church. You only get out of what you can put into it. He says. So he'd tell them there. He'd say, "Now, you only get out of church what you put into it. If you can sing, sing. If you can't sing, well, then you need to clap your hands. If you can't clap your hands, you snap your fingers. If you can't snap your fingers, you need to pat your foot. And if you can't pat your foot, you need to be in church."
There you go. Well, I just wanted to call and let you know I appreciate it. But also,
Thank
you mentioned Kenny Higgins and not knowing how to spell. And that just shows you don't have to read to be able to make a bunch of money.
Well,
That's right.
Gary, I thought the other reason McDonald was so good because Bubba Cry one time was the coach down there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that don't make sense, does it? Never mind.
And I tell you, another guy who's around a lot, told a lot of stories is Neil Henry.
Oh, Neil Henry.
Oh,
Another
yeah.
great guy.
Yeah, he was principal
down there at one time.
Yeah,
Sure was.
Yeah, matter of fact, he got in the chicken farming, but he was a principal and a teacher down there. I had him for history, and I just remember about Neil is if you want to divert the class from doing any work, ask him about his time in the military. He'd tell you history, but it was his.
Sound like Jim Barger.
There you go. All right, well, I'll let you go. I'm just going to let you know, I appreciate what you guys did.
Thank you, Gary.
And so forth. Y'all have a good day.
All right, God bless.
Thank you.
Yeah, Neil probably owns property adjoining.
Yes.
There, or close to it, at least.
Yes, and I remember, this shows the times, and I remember when he was principal, he'd always drive his truck with his cattle bed on his old standard Silverado, I think it was. And we'd had to wait around for the bus to get back to Bachman. Well, he'd let some of us ride in the back of that cab, and then he'd get right there at the turn to go on to Grimer Creek, Johnson School Road.
Yeah.
And he'd drop us off right there, and we'd walk that quarter mile to Bachman. But yeah, they wouldn't let you ride in the back of the truck now.
Yeah, there's a little cabin like building right there near his farm. There's a guy named Bob Bell lived there.
Yes.
And he was adopted by a family here in Cleveland. I don't think he was ever through the orphanage there. He came from Memphis, and of course Bob and he lived there and helped Bob Neil farm and all that.
Oh yeah.
And Neil was a member of the Pleasant Grove Methodist Church with us. I grew up around Neil.
Neil Henry and the Newmans down there.
Oh yes.
Tom and Sally and Tommy now. He has the orchard and
right.
Run his farm out there. Good folks. I grew up.
He runs which one runs the tractor, the supply company there?
That's Tommy.
That's
son.
Son, yes.
Yeah, Pryor was
I couldn't think of his name.
Pryor Newman was the banker here.
You're right,
and,
Pryor.
I went and worked for him and stuff, and we had a great time. But I could tell stories on Tommy and on me. But they worked with Dad some when kids would run away or would come up there and they rented some of the property and farm it. When we quit doing it ourselves, got into child labor law things and thought it was unhealthy, making the kids work and learn how a farm works, But anyways, and so, yeah, Neil...
we have to get a guy off the water tank one time when I was with the sheriff's department.
I've climbed that several times.
I'm going... I'll stand down here and catch him. If he jumps, you go get him.
Well, here's something.
That's when you had a rank. You had a rank. You could go. You climb.
You remember the little 12-inch GI Joes?
Yeah.
With the kung fu grip and stuff. Yeah. Well, we used to make parachutes and then crawl up that and see if we can make them work. Sometimes they worked. Sometimes they dug in the ground.
Wildwood Church of God Orphanage was the name of that orphanage, and this is the source of all information, my sister. And she says that, of course, there's an orphanage now in Sevierville, an actual orphanage, still operating. Matter of fact, we passed it several times here in the last couple of days.
Now, that orphanage was tied to Lee University back at one time. Go back, that comes down, and there was a gentleman that was a professor at Lee, went up to be the director up there.
I
can't think of his name.
I looked here in the Heritage of Bradley County, and it doesn't even mention the orphanages.
Call back again, caller. I'm sorry we missed you there.
Okay.
Call us here at 614-5553. You got about 6 or 7 minutes because Fro
Did y'all have another song, boys?
Sure.
Go ahead and crank one
up.
Our listeners love songs.
And don't forget, Fro said
I promise
there's
not to sing
barbecue
along.
up there on
Starview Drive.
Starview Drive, so don't forget that. This is another song by the duo here. What do you call this duo?
Well, we had
Early Saturday morning duo.
Yeah.
Flute Serum.
Just don't go there.
Two old dudes. Okay, here we go. This one we're going to do off of memory, so if we get to, I'll just make up some words if I don't remember it. And,
I'll let you sing it.
Yeah, that's right. There's a city that looks on a valley of death, and its glory has never been told, where the land is a light in the midst of the night, in that beautiful city of gold, where the sun never sets, and the leaves never fade, and the righteous forever shine like the stars, in that beautiful city of gold. There will be no more sorrow, pain, sickness, or death, and the saints they will never grow old. How I long for that city where there never comes a night, in that beautiful city of gold, where the sun never sets, and the leaves never fade, and the nights will never shine like the stars, in that beautiful city of gold, in that beautiful city of gold.
Very good. Thank you.
Very nice.
Hey, call us here at 614-5553. Talking about Bachman Home and sing a few songs here. And before we go, Greg, we've got to ask you what you do for a living. And
very little, right?
Well, what does your wife do for a living?
No, I'm the owner of Joe Rogers Office Supply up on Central Avenue.
Yeah, you've been there for quite a few years now.
Hit 41 years this May.
41.
That you've owned it?
41. No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to say.
No, fortunately not.
Yeah.
But, no, I bought Mom and Dad out in 93.
93.
That's when they retired.
Mm-hmm. And how long had they owned it?
We had owned it as a family since 1973.
Okay.
When Mr. Rogers passed away.
Okay. That's what I was getting at. Is how did it get? How long has that operation been in business?
Joe Rogers Sr. started that in 1953 on Inman Street, and then it moved to the Village.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it did. When the Village opened until
Had a little
1964.
something to do with that, you know.
Yeah, a little something.
Yeah.
Because see, I always remember it being
So,
downtown.
has real quick, has the office supply business changed a lot?
Yeah, that's kind of an understatement.
Yeah.
Our competition levels are very high now.
Big box stores, right?
Big box stores, the internet, everything. But we've been blessed in, keeping our customer base, and our service levels are excellent, if I have to brag on ourselves.
Craig, are you still a clocksmith?
I try not to anymore.
Uh-huh.
No, there was a time when I would repair clocks, but I've sort of gotten away from that.
Well, I know you're quite a historian also.
I love history. Local history just fascinates me.
Yes. Well, we anytime that you got a good history story you want to share with us, give us a call.
We just need to get together.
Yes, we sure do. So let me ask you, how have you competed? What one way have you competed with the big box stores? What do you think?
He has customer service.
Well,
that's mainly it. I mean, it's just a very high level of customer service and personal service.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am blessed there again with my employees that have been with me. John and Robin Owenby have been with me for 30 years. I've got one driver, Chris Goins, who is working for me the second time around. I have Wesley Freeman, who has worked for me now for going on probably close to 10 years now.
That's amazing.
And I worked for him for a while, but I couldn't.
Jonathan did.
I couldn't take it. I just couldn't take it.
John had a paycheck for a while, wasn't he?
He drove a truck and he lifted heavy things.
Mongol.
let me give you one example of where I think you give great service. I needed one of those stamps that you do, little pulls for certificates, and I stopped in Staples. I went in there and they said, "Well, here, do this, you do this." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, that I don't know." They said, "Just do it right there on the thing." I says, "Well, I got questions or thing." Finally, I said, and then I looked at the price at the end of it. It says, "That's crazy." Walked in, you guys helped me. Less than 5 minutes, had it ordered. It was cheaper. I knew what I was getting.
Right.
I got exactly what I wanted. I didn't know if I was going to get what I wanted.
Right. The one at Staples, you couldn't look at the end product before you agreed to take it. And we said, we don't like that. Well, that's the way it is. Okay, we don't like that.
So, so just if you need good personalized service, just want to give you a plug there. And
we appreciate that.
We
very
like
much.
people shopping locally.
Yes.
We did a documentary about local restaurants, about the old guys. When we grew up. The original Spots and the Rebels and the Grand Lunch. You guys are probably too young to remember the Grand Lunch, but those type things like that. And then although the big chain stores and box stores, even in the restaurant businesses, I go to McDonald's and I go to Kentucky Fried Chickens and I do that. But I like to go to the mom and pops. I don't go out of town. I don't go out of town to eat at Chili's again. Nothing wrong with Chili's. But if I'm going to go to somewhere else, I try to find that local mom and pop.
Go to Granny's and Cherokee, North Carolina.
Or B's Restaurant in Chattanooga.
Oh, yeah, B's.
Now
it got kind of crazy there for a while, but it's back to its normal self.
I have a son who lives in Orlando, or outside Eustis, Florida. And so the last 2 years, we have a granddaughter. We have custody of, and that's another story. But Disney, forget it. It's just getting so outrageous. And so we decided the last 2 years, right? I'm the activities director, that I'm going to find those out of the way places. And so, we found a cavern to go through, a crystal cavern. We found a ship. There's a couple of them down there, but we found one, a ship in St. Augustine that they take you out. The kids get dressed up on this reel. and pirate ship, and another one boards you, and they have a battle, and it's really cool.
Oh man!
So we've been finding some of those out of the way stuff, and
we do that
mom and pop
stuff.
stores. I try to do that too.
We do that stuff. We'll take the back roads every time, and we'll eat it.
Nothing wrong with Walmart. Nothing wrong with Staples, but it's shop around sometime. You may see that the big box store is not always the best service.
So, Ron, what was the name of the barbecue place that I wouldn't get out of the car?
Excels in Clarksville, Tennessee. 3 coon dogs laying out there. They had welding, brain surgery, bait, and barbecue.
But it was one of these places that we pulled up in the parking lot, and there was obviously everything there were well-used trucks, and every one of them had 4 hound dogs in the back of it. And the mailboxes looked like they were getting ready to fall down, and they were old and rusty and crusty, and it was a gas station. I said, I am not going in there.
Well, I went in there, and the girl behind the counter, whether she's doing barbecue, she had just got the bait out, but she washed her hands. And she said, honey, what you all want right there? And I said, hey, I want 2 barbecue sandwiches. And Dad made me drive out of the parking lot, go down the road to a church.
Pulled in the parking lot, and we ate
them. And now tell them about the barbecue.
It was very good barbecue.
Very good barbecue. I don't know. We digress.
But I don't know. But it's funny because I'll go in most any place, and I went, no, I'm not going in there. I wanted to thank you, Jonathan and Greg, for coming by today, because we do talk about the buildings sometimes, and we talk about places and where things used to be, but sometimes we don't know about the people, because we'll say that building was built in 1937, but people forget to write about the people that made the place operate the way it did and changed lives. And so we thank you and your dad.
Sure.
Man, I wish he was here to tell his stories.
He's got. I tell you, my siblings and I talked about that before he passed, and that we should have wrote these down or videoed him. Yes. And we were going to name the book, or I came up with the name for the book, and it was a story he told. He went to a church to talk about Bachman, and he'd never been there before. And they walk in the fellowship hall, and they got the big bulletin board with what's going on in the church, and they have a banner. And we didn't find the banner. He had saved it. We didn't find the banner about them coming. It said, "What's a flug? 2 will be on display Wednesday night at 6 p.m.
Now, what? Tell me again.
What's a flug? 2 will be on display Wednesday night, meeting my mom and dad.
I love it.
Well, the segue right into the end of our show is exactly that. Get out your video cameras, record your mom and dad, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your neighbors,
or what your
coworkers,
brothers and sisters remember.
Because the day they die, history dies with them. I'm very lucky. I had a cousin who recorded my grandfather from Tinga, Georgia, talking on about 2 hours on a little cassette tape. It's wonderful. I did his dad, my uncle, back after my mother died. I didn't do my mother.
You just take things for granted, and then all of a sudden it's gone.
She got Alzheimer's, and next thing you know, she didn't remember anything. So I went and got about a week after my mother died, we went, he's the last brother of that family, and so we recorded him for about 2 hours. Wonderful. So we have him on video now. Write down, make sure you go and get those pictures from up and under the bed, up.
That's right, and right on the back of Mama did that really well.
Yeah. Now, let me recommend that you go down to the scrapbook place, or I imagine you can get archival labels and archival pens.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
All right. Go to Joe Rogers, get those, write it on the label and put it on there, because ink can go through the picture, but I'd rather have ink on the picture than nothing else. So, and save those pictures and then share them on Facebook. Right now, we don't take pictures anymore that you can hold in your hand. They're all on your cell phone, or all your pictures and your cameras are digital now. So there won't be that hard copy of history coming up. So we're going to have to share it electronically somehow. So share it on Facebook, share it on, put it on the cloud, something that you can save it, make a CD of it, and it might last for 10 years, and then put it in a safe deposit box. We won't have anything to play it with in the future.
Yeah, we started doing that with the old 8mm of my dad's.
Oh, yes.
Converting them to DVDs, and Dad's big thing, I don't know why it was, him and Grandpa liked to get in the car and drive down a road that they traveled all the time. And so you get to see, wow, this has changed.
Oh, yeah.
And so Pennsylvania and here on Lookout Mountain, he's got pictures of ours.
Those are great things, you know. So we tell people every week, this is the same spiel I give every week, and if we do this another 10 years, I'll give this spiel every weekend. It's up to you to save the history, because we'll always remember Pearl Harbor.
But we will remember Aunt Pearl.
Thank
See
you,
you guys next week on Old Town Cleveland.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Hello. I'm the doctor.
And you're listening to WOOPLP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Checking the cash, you got a brand new choice. A